Hey Ludwig, good evening.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry, I was a few minutes late. One second, let me pull up the MD. Looks like it's pretty light. It's getting to that time of year. Doesn't look like we have anything on the agenda. Um, but since you're here, Shalish, do you want to quickly talk about what you've got? I guess we
Yeah,
should probably kick it off officially. Ludwig, are you there?
I think his mic is not working.
Ah, okay, got it. Okay, let me just kick it off. We'll have a quick agenda today. This is the Hyperlight community meeting. It is a CNCF project, so we follow the CNCF code of conduct and guidelines. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to any of the leads here or CNCF themselves. Um, yeah, so I think from an announcement perspective, we did release um, Hyperlight 12 yesterday. Let me just see. I think the big things from that, let me see if I can just pull up the Hyperlight release notes. Yeah, okay, so Hyperlight release 12 yesterday. We fixed the deadlock in some of the tracing implementation. There was a stack overflow produced by guest logging that we fixed. Fixed guest halt to halt. There was an extra bit of trace data being leaked. So there's just a bunch of updates to some of the tracing stuff that we released in the previous iteration. We also fixed an interrupt handler for our interrupt handler was, if you were using it, wasn't 16 byte aligned, which caused some problems with a few of the instructions. Um, one of the really cool things here was we added some improvements macros for the guest function registration. Now you can just put a macro on top of a normal looking function and you can write a guest function. It's pretty cool. Um, and then we also have a metric for CPU kicks that are happening via various cancellations. Um, and we removed some code that wasn't being used anymore. So yeah, you can check out the rest of the changes. I think there's a bunch of other changes, but those are some of the big ones. And the release notes, I'll paste those into the chat here as well as once I update the markdown. Anybody else have any other announcements?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey,
Oh, sorry, I think my mic was not working earlier. No, just checking my mic. I don't have anything more.
cool. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we have an agenda. The one other thing I would probably say is we'll probably cancel um, the meeting in 2 weeks and we'll see everybody on January 7th. I'll post that in Slack and I'll put it in the notes here as well. It's Christmas Eve, so we probably won't have too many people showing up to that meeting. Cool. I see a couple other folks coming in. We kicked off the meeting. We announced release 12.0 and just said next week we'll probably won't have, or next in 2 weeks on the 24th, we won't have a meeting. We'll see everybody on January 7th would be the one after that, I think. Yes, January 7th. Cool. Does anybody else have any other announcements? Some of the folks that just joined?
I think we also had a paired release of Hyperlight Wasm, right? Did that go out yet?
Oh, yeah, that probably happened in the last. Oh no, sorry, Hyperlight WASM 12 hasn't gone out yet. That's
No,
Okay.
not done
working on
that
that
yet.
this week.
Hopefully it's before the end of tomorrow, but see how we go.
Yeah.
Cool. And so yeah, we were gonna maybe Shilish was gonna maybe share some of the work that he was doing for
Yeah. So
the whip macro. Yeah.
yeah. So my PR is like now it's actually ready to merge. So there was a problem with how the host engine was returning the response to after generating the response. So if you use Hyperlight, that if you use the env variable to print the value in a file, then there is a race condition and it doesn't actually return the actual value. So if in one file you call host by engine multiple times, then you won't get the output of like on each line. If you call it host by engine 10 times, then you'll only get output of the first two or three host by engine calls in all of the calls. So there was a I just changed one line there, and that's why I didn't. That's why I asked you not to merge it earlier.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. Other than that, I think I'll do another review, but it looks like you addressed all the various comments, so I
yeah,
think it's pretty close.
yeah. That's
I
it.
will take a look at that today. Then.
Sure.
Yeah. Great work. Hopefully it was fun. Macros are always interesting to work with.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. Not fun actually. I couldn't figure out how what was happening. Sometimes I was getting something. Sometimes I wasn't getting an output, and it was. I finally realized there was a race condition.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else they want to cover or discuss today?
Yeah, our PR validation workflow's gone really long just recently. I created an issue for this yesterday. I think the benchmarks are potentially taking longer, but we've also got more tests. One of the PRs I put in earlier today will no longer complete validation. It times out after an hour. I mean, my short-term solution to this is I'm working on a PR right now to restructure the validation and make it more parallelized. But I think we need to perhaps think about what we're doing here and how much actually needs doing during PR validation, and maybe how much we should do on a cycle.
Yeah, so we have that the stuff I did for the muscle work, and so it would be pretty easy to move out a few of those things to that particular job, and we've seen that working. When it fails, we get a notification with the issue.
So the obvious candidate to move to a cron job would be running the examples. We want to prove the examples still would work, but I don't think we need to do it on every single pull request. I think the benchmarks are interesting for regression purposes, but we don't actually do anything if they regress automatically. So that relies on us looking at them. So, maybe we should do a bit of work there. Anyway, short term, I'm going to put a PR in a short while that just breaks it all up. And then maybe we can discuss on that issue what we should do to solve this problem properly.
I also noticed when we build the guest with Cargo Hyperlight, building the guest takes like twice as long now.
Okay.
Oh, maybe that's what.
Yeah, I think it's because it's building standard core library too, where before we're not.
Yep.
Yeah, I also have some ideas on caching, not just for the guest, that I think might improve some things, because I know we spend a lot of time just downloading and compiling dependencies.
Yeah. At one time we did have the Rust cache stuff enabled. I don't know whether that's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah. So I think that would be interesting. But short term, I'm going to break out the building a guest, so we only do it once ahead of time, and then parallelize the test benchmarks and sample running, and then that might make it easier to just break some of those things out completely into cron jobs. So I'll try and get that in later on this evening. Like I say, one PR won't even complete validation without timing out now. So
Yeah.
sort of got to do it, or extend the time we allow, which doesn't seem much of a solution.
Oh, there's another issue where we run some tests twice.
Okay.
I think a lot of tests, like all the WIT tests, and they take a while. They run twice. I think all the integration tests also run twice. Yeah, I'll take a look at it too.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I noticed the set of tests ran the other day twice when I was running them locally. Maybe it was the WIT.
Yeah.
Even the Just Light CI recipe, which hasn't got everything in it, I've got a PR for that as well. That takes forever on my machine locally. It's almost better to submit a PR and let it happen on GitHub, which sort of defeats the object.
Yeah.
Anyway, the issue is, let me see if I can find it. Issue number 1090. What's interesting, that issue, it says that the benchmarks now take 12 minutes. Well, in my recent PR that's been failing, they've been taking between 30 something and 40 something minutes.
Oh boy.
But I can't see anything obvious that anything's regressed. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we've got more now or something than we had yesterday. I don't know what's happened. I'll keep poking on it.
All right. Anything else to add there? Cool. Dan, I think you added this demo.
Yeah, I figured I could show some folks something I've been playing around with. I call it Hyperlight Claude Bridge. It's so essentially, well, I can just share my screen and I'll go over it. I have some slides that I can share. And okay, so you should hopefully be seeing my desktop with I think HackMD up right now. Yeah, cool. Okay, so like I said, Hyperlight Claude Bridge, essentially bringing Claude's AI to Hyperlight Nanvix VMs. I've discussed Hyperlight Nanvix in a previous sync, I think the last one that we had, but I'll just go over it for um, completion. I have some slides on Hyperlight, that one we can skip. Nanvix, if you don't know, it's just this microkernel-based research operating system, right, that we've managed to run inside of Hyperlight VMs. The goal there is to bring multi-language runtime support, right, like Python, JavaScript, C, C++, and WASM. It essentially looks somewhat like this. So we have our Hyperlight VM. Inside of the Hyperlight VM, we can have user applications. Oops. User applications as before. But because now we have this kernel, the kernel can support then full-on language runtimes like Python, JavaScript via QuickJS, or C++ with like newlib, or and also WASM with WASM time or WASMe, whatever other WASM runtime you like. And that's possible because Nanvix has this POSIX layer and other sort of building blocks that it supports, like threading, it's memory management, and also IPC, so inter-process communication. And of course, it's all backed by Hyperlight, running with hardware isolation with Hyper-V and KVM. And so when applications make syscalls here, they go out, they interface with this POSIX layer that can then go out to this I/O subsystem that Nanvix also offers that runs outside of the Hyperlight VM that provides this sort of syscall backend. Now, okay, so we have the context of Hyperlight, you have now the context of Nanvix. We put these things together to try and solve this problem that's been discussed widely recently, particularly with an Entropic blog post that I think I link later on. But the problem essentially is that, for example, with Claude, users are asking Claude to perform multiple tool calls, right, like MCP. In this example prompt, we have what city is the warmest between Paris, London, Tokyo, Berlin, and Rome. The traditional approach here is that Claude will make multiple tool calls. So we'll get temperature for Paris, London, Tokyo, and all these tool calls, they will cost tokens, which will cost you more, and they will return, and they will also add on to the context of your chat. And that can easily, this is a very simple example, but if you're making something more, I guess a more complex prompt, like to analyze, I don't know, sales of a company, I think that's a example that they have in their blog post. Context window can quickly be blown off, and maybe you won't even be able to finish your prompt because you have all these intermediate results. Because particularly here, you don't care about the temperature in Paris, you care about which one is warmest, right? So the only thing that you would want in the context of your chat is which one it is, so the name of that city, which in this case, with the ones that we have would be Tokyo. Yeah, this is just what I just said in terms of the issues. The results get added to the conversation context. The token usage grows with each tool call, and we waste space. So the solution that Anthropic offered with Claude is this thing called programmatic tool calling, where essentially Claude generates code to solve the user prompt. In this case of what's the warmest city, it could generate something like this. And the programmatic tool calling bit is that now within this Python code, it can call tools to find out the temperature in each city. And those results don't get returned to the context because they're now running within this single tool call, which is server tool use. So we'll execute, we'll get all the stuff. And now the only thing that gets returned to your context is that final, what is the warmest city? Yeah, this is just what I highlighted, right? Intermediate results stay in the code execution environment. Only the final answer is what we get, and we get massive token savings. I think in this example, we had about 170 tokens wasted with this, while with the programmatic tool calling, we have about 40 tokens, so 4 times less. And I think Entropic has other examples with even more savings. Okay, so another interesting thing from this blog post that Entropic shared is that there's multiple execution modes. The one that they manage runs with containers, right? So they have this container with Python runtime and some supported libraries that Claude can execute in. But they also offer the option for you to build an executor and self-manage your run of this Claude generated code. And this is what we built. So essentially, I built this Hyperlight executor. We can run this Claude generated code inside of Hyperlight. And this is the repository. I currently have it in my own, I guess, user, but I'll eventually transfer this um, to probably Hyperlight Navix or something like that. And this is how you run it. So you can check out this repository. You'll need an Entropic API key so you can generate the code, but then you can just cargo run the binary. And so I'll run that right here. And I'm just doing a grep so that we get the interesting output, so we don't get all the info from the kernel. Here you see an info. The user saying, use Python to calculate the sum of numbers from 1 to 100. Show me your code and results. And so then Claude generates this code. It generated a couple of different ways to do this. One method with a loop, another method with a range, and the sum function, and the mathematical formula. So this stuff is syscalls that are not really supported yet, but they don't really matter. But you see that the code is executing in Hyperlight Navix, and we get the results. And you see that Claude says that all methods give the same result. This is how we currently abort executions in Hyperlight Navix, so you also don't have to care about that. But you see here, code executed in Hyperlight Navix VM. So what happened there is we made a request to Entropic's API, right, with our token, generated this code. It will then issue a server tool use tool call. The server tool use is intercepted by Hyperlight's executor. So it will run this code inside of the Hyperlight Navix sandbox. And so it runs end to end. Now, one thing that you might have noticed is that we don't really have any tools being called inside of here. It just does the computation and it runs the code. And that's the part that I haven't really added yet. The only thing I built right now is the executor. But that will be the next step. I did try it. There's some things that are still missing. In particular, the tool callings, they are made with an await call and in Python that requires importing async IO, which right now fails with the missing C binding of ssock. But it's something that we can add, and I think it's about a day's work. So yeah, that is where we're at. Just a little side quest that I took on. last week and earlier this week. That's where we're at. And if you'd like to check it out, this is the repo again. You can go and try it out and let me know what you think. That is all I had. Now I'll try to figure out how to stop sharing. And there we go. Yeah, James.
Yeah, so does Anthropic basically leave it up to you to determine how to execute that code? They tell you here's the code that you need to execute, but you can either run it on their cloud, or if you wanted to do it on your own, you're left to doing your own implementation. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. So essentially, their API is just that they will issue this server tool call that you can then intercept and run in some other way if you don't want to use their managed offering. But yeah, that's how it works.
Seems like a pretty awesome opportunity. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah, thanks, James.
All right. Any other questions for Dan? Otherwise, I think it looks like we're at the end of the agenda. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Awesome. All right. Well, it's great seeing everybody. Reminder, we won't have a meeting in 2 weeks. We'll see everybody in the new year. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Happy holidays, everyone. Bye bye.
Yeah.